Hey folks, this is Joe Hennis from Muppet fan site ToughPigs.com. Today we're talking with John Tartaglia, a Muppet performer whose work can be seen on Sesame Street, The Wubbulous World of Dr. Seuss, Dog City, Bear in the Big Blue House, Julie's Green Room, many more, including a recent stint as Gobo Fraggle. Outside of the Muppet world, John originated the roles of Princeton and Rod in the Sesame Street spoof Avenue Q. He also created the Playhouse Disney series Johnny and the Sprites, and in addition to his puppetry work, he's also an accomplished writer, producer, and director. In just a minute, you'll hear us talk with John about his latest series, Splash and Bubbles, currently airing on PBS Kids, which he created and stars in. The show's soundtrack, Splash and Bubbles Rhythms of the Reef, is currently available in stores and online, and we'll have a link to purchase that in the show notes. In addition to Splash and Bubbles, we'll also be talking with John about Avenue Q's 15th anniversary and his upcoming series currently in development with the Henson Company, Teddy Ruxpin. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Now get ready to hear the dulcet tones of John Tartaglia immediately following this musical interlude from Splash and Bubbles.
Oh, dive in, splash and bubbles.
Dive in.
We're making friends in the ocean. In this world beyond belief, come see the greatest reef. Oh, dive in, splash and bubbles.
Dive in.
Start making friends in the ocean. Come along with us, dive right in.
John Tartaglia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is a rare thing where we haven't interviewed many people twice, so this is exciting. We're gonna tackle all new ground.
Ooh, I'm breaking precedent.
Yes. So I think for people who might be wondering more about your work with the Muppets and with Sesame and with Fraggles, they can go check out our interview that we did with you a couple of years ago. But today we're talking about Splash and Bubbles.
Yes.
So from what I understand, all right, so Wikipedia tells me there's 35 episodes, a TV movie, and a 4D film playing in Birmingham at an aquarium. Is that right?
It is playing. It's a couple different places, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly where it is right now, but I know it's a few different places.
Oh, well, that's exciting. Like, how does it feel to have? Like, it seems like it's a big hit now for PBS. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's doing really well. It's we've had a couple opportunities to go out and do like appearances and special events and stuff like that, and just to see the way that kids and their families connect to it. It's just been amazing. It's a dream come true for me to have a show like that. So yeah, I think it's been doing pretty darn well, I think.
That's awesome. The thing that always stands out to me when I think about Splash and Bubbles or see something about it online is it's a show that has Jim Henson's name right above the title.
Yeah.
How does that feel to have Jim's name attached, and how do you incorporate his dream and his legacy into the making of the show?
Well, it's still surreal to me. I mean, it's a dream come true, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, it's like when I was a kid, that's all I wanted to do was work for Jim and the Muppets and Henson, and and certainly just I was thinking just as a puppeteer at the time, but then to actually get to create your own work and have his name over it, I don't take that lightly. I really try to think about actually that's something that the company does now is they really try to stay true to the legacy and try to obviously move the company forward, and the company has to evolve and change and create new things, but there's always a sense of respecting the tradition of what's come before, and I certainly feel that way. And actually when we were creating Splash and Bubbles, something that Lisa Henson said, which I thought was so wonderful, especially because you guys know how big of a Fraggle Rock fan I am, is she said, this is our chance to kind of do Fraggle Rock for the ocean. Or Fraggle Rock underwater, which is kind of what we thought of it as, is that it's definitely an environmental show. It definitely talks about interconnectedness like Fraggle Rock did, and the more research we did, and the more study we did, it's incredible how much the ocean drives everything on the planet, and so even it kind of links in very naturally and kind of continues that Fraggle Rock world a little bit. But yeah, I mean, every day when I see see Jim's name over it, I still get goosebumps when I think about that. So I feel like it's a huge privilege and a huge honor to get to continue that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that it really has in common with Fraggle Rock is the great use of music. And you have a soundtrack that just came out for the show, right?
We do, yes. Just came out.
Yeah, so that's called Splash and Bubbles Rhythm of the Reef. It is. I'm told it's in stores now, and it's available online digitally as well. So, well, this isn't your first soundtrack that you've worked on, and I'm sure it won't be the last. But how does it feel to have all these standalone songs from the show out there now on the album?
It's awesome because it's actually one of the things we heard back from parents a lot was that the kids loved the music, the kids loved dancing to the music, and the parents wanted the music. One of my big rules about kids show music is that the parents have to be able to enjoy it and not want to pull their hair out and sing along and want to play in the car while they're driving the kids around or on a road trip. Because to me, like all the great music I grew up with loving, whether it was Broadway music, whether it was, other kids' music, whatever, was music that like was relatable to everybody and that everyone could enjoy. And I think that always tends to be the best. Look at Let It Go, look at How Far I'll Go from Frozen, all those, or from Moana, all those great Disney songs. No one thinks of those as kids songs. They're just really great songs that happen to be in, entertainment that's accessible to kids and their families. So that's always my goal with music at a show is that we're creating something that parents and their kids can listen to. And so we hear back from parents saying, we love the music, we want the kids to love the music, we want our kids to listen to the music, when is it going to be out? So the fact that it's finally out makes me feel really good because I feel like I'm helping a lot of friends who have kids who want that music. But Mike Himmelstein, who was our musical director for the show, I had no idea he was such a Motown fan and that he lived in the world of Motown so much. And that was kind of the big goal for the show, was to create its own unique sound. So all the music in the show has a Motown feel to it. And when you think about Motown, it so heavily influences so many other kinds of music. So it just felt like the right kind of, base to put the music in. I love the fact that if you took the lyrics out, which obviously tend to be about the ocean or tend to be about specific characters, if you took those lyrics out and you just had the instrumental of the music playing, you would think it was just, traditional Motown music. So I like that. I like that part of the show a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I listened to a few of the songs before this interview, and definitely the songs are fun. They're upbeat. They don't sound like kids' songs. So I just think is like you say, that's the most important thing. Because I was kind of expecting something a little more along the lines of Sesame Street or something that you would find on PBS Kids or Nick Jr. or something like that. But no, and that kind of does fall under most of the songs that were been produced by the Henson Company, whether for Fraggle Rock or Webulous World of Dr. Seuss or Bear in the Big Blue House or something like that, where it does work on multiple levels. Maybe just to make sure that the parents don't go insane when the kids want to listen to it over and over again.
Yeah, I think I think any good entertainment, it should work on, a bunch of different levels for different reasons, right? So, obviously, like in our show, we deal with a lot of environmental things. We deal with a lot of ocean, marine biology curriculum, and then there's certain things that, a 1-year-old might not be able to absorb. But, obviously the one thing I think is universal in any show, hopefully, is the music, and it's accessible, and, it makes you want to dance or listen in closer. So that's so nice to hear, because that definitely was the goal.
Was there like a process for the songwriting and production that you were involved with?
Yeah, well, basically what we did was there were kind of two ways that songs would form. One was sometimes we would sit in, when we were first developing the show, we had kind of a general music meeting where we said, okay, we know we want to give our 4 main characters their own songs that are unique to them, that will be repeated through the show. So we kind of based that off of, each of the characters' personality traits or goals or what felt most right for them. So Ripple, the seahorse, is very empathetic and she's very emotional. So we wanted to create a song for her that would be really about making a difference in the world. And then my character Splash is very, adventurous, and he wants to be out there and see as much of the ocean as he can. So that's where Catch Current came from. Each of the characters had their own unique sound. So there were some basic ones we knew we wanted to create. We knew we wanted to create a song about celebrating the fact that everyone contributes something to Reef Town, to where they live. So that's where Rhythm of the Reef came from. And then there were songs that just came out of the needs of the script. Something like Coral Day, which is our holiday song, obviously came out of the fact that we had this special holiday episode and we wanted some way to include a holiday song. And then there's songs like, I'm trying to think what else is on the track. All the interstitial songs that are on there, like No Bones, the Octopus song, and some of those other songs were written specifically for those segments. So it was kind of both. Sometimes it came from the scripting, and sometimes it just came from everyone sitting around saying, we should have a song about this. Wouldn't it be great to have a song about that?
Sure, yeah. And speaking of the whole production aspect of it. You're credited as both a writer and a director on a lot of these episodes as well. Is this your first real foray into that part of TV filmmaking?
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of writing for theater, and I've done a lot of, like on Johnny and the Sprites, my Disney Channel show, I never officially wrote a script, I never officially directed, but I ended up kind of still doing that work sometimes. So it wasn't my first time necessarily, but it was on this scale, and it was exciting. I mean, it was cool to get to, to get to be part of both of those sides. When you're on camera, and obviously it's animated, but it's a lot, we perform it live. So I say on camera, meaning we're being filmed, but you don't see me, obviously. But when you're on that side of things, you have such a different appreciation for what goes into it than when you're on the writing side, the directing side. So it really kind of gave me just an amazing overview of what goes into production, and it was a great way to kind of, stretch my wings a little bit, or in this case, stretch my fins, I guess, and get a chance to kind of, foray into that side of it. And actually, since then, I've been doing a lot more writing and a lot more directing. So it was, but this is the first time from a television place I've really kind of officially done that.
And I'm sure that's also preparing you for your next project, which I'm assuming you can't say too much about, but it's been announced that Henson Company is workshopping a Teddy Ruxpin series that you are credited as the showrunner. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Can you tell us literally anything about that?
Well, I can tell you that, I have a long history with Teddy Ruxpin. When I was a kid, my mom, who's like a very kind and loving person, literally like almost wrestled a woman to the ground on Christmas Eve to get the last Teddy Ruxpin in the store for me.
That's awesome.
Because I wanted it that much. So it's always been a part of my life, and I've always loved that toy. And the fact that it has had a comeback recently with this new version of it is really cool. And Ken Forsey, who's the creator of Teddy Ruxpin, actually knew Jim Henson, and they had great respect for each other and the kind of worlds and creativity that they both had. Ken's widow, Jan, really was excited about the possibility of developing something with the Jim Henson Company because she knew how much it would mean to Ken, and to continue on the legacy of Teddy Ruxpin. So we're taking it really, we're really looking at it from all angles and trying to figure out, the best way to develop the show. It's still very early on in production, but it's been kind of a dream come true to work on it because obviously it's a character and stories that I grew up with, and getting a chance to kind of continue that on, and give a whole new generation, that opportunity. Some people actually know the original animated Teddy Ruxpin series too, so they're really excited about the fact that there'll be another version of that, and using, Henson digital puppetry to kind of bring that to life.
Absolutely. And, and speaking as someone who has a huge appreciation and a continuing love for, the toys of my childhood, which I'm assuming that a lot of people listening to this are going to as well. I very much appreciate the potential resurgence of a brand like Teddy Ruxpin. Yeah,
there's a lot of opportunities there, and what's amazing about Ken and all the folks that he worked with in creating the original toys, people think of it just as a toy, and it was a toy, but he really created a whole world. I mean, there's a whole land that he created, its backstories, and the entire kind of saga leading into the creation of Teddy. And there's a really a glorious kind of encyclopedia of the world of Teddy Ruxpin to draw from. So we're looking into that, and like, how do we, kind of honor what's been there before, but obviously create brand new adventures. So it's for me, it's like a nerd's dream come true to get to look through this stuff and live in it.
Yeah, and actually that sounds very Fraggle Rock-ish on its own as well. This larger universe and these colorful characters, and this idea that you could just turn down the some cave or some pathway or into some woods, and you're encountering a whole new subspecies or anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. It definitely has that sense of that there are all these different lands and all these different species and all these different, groups that get along or have challenges, and it's kind of distilled down to a very simple form, but you can pull back and see kind of the grander, analogy to the real world, and so it was kind of surprising. Obviously, when you're 6 years old, you don't necessarily pick up on all of that, but as an adult looking at it, I'm like, wow, they really created this entire universe, which I think even as a Fraggle fan, right? It's like, I think when you're a kid watching Fraggle Rock, you just love the characters, you love the adventures, and you love the emotions. But when you're older and you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so brilliantly conceived, to try to relate you to our real world and how these two things are connected. So yeah, I would say that it has a similar kind of connection.
Absolutely. And the as nice as it is to look forward to the projects coming up, I do want to take a quick second and look back. So this year is Avenue Q's 15th anniversary, which is kind of hard to believe. Are you doing anything to commemorate the occasion?
Yeah, there's going to be a special concert at 54 Below in New York City where it's going to be all the original cast and the creators. We're going to be doing a special kind of like one night only performance of some stuff and telling some stories and talking about the creation of the show. And then it was just announced actually 2 days ago that we're going to be doing some special appearances in the actual show throughout.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think they're having like 15 performances of celebration to celebrate the 15th anniversary. So I can't tell you more than that, but there'll be some really awesome surprises and appearances and things like that. So yeah, I mean, 15 years, you gotta honor that. I still can't believe it's been 15 years. It's kind of horrifying to think that it's been that long.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this. I was there opening night for the Broadway show. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah, I was way up in the nosebleeds, but I was there. I made it.
Oh my God! So I'm sure you can't believe that was 15 years ago either.
I really can't. Crazy. Yeah, it's super weird. When was the last time you actually watched a production of Avenue Q?
Well, actually, up until 3 years ago when I moved to Los Angeles, I was maintaining the show off Broadway. So I was basically like resident directing it. So I was putting new performers into the show and I was training new people. So really up until 3 years ago, I watched it, the original, what is considered still the original production because it's still the same set and the same puppets and everything, almost nightly. So I guess that would be the most recent version I saw. But every now and then I get sent clips of regional productions or I'll hear from a college that's doing it. It's just amazing. I mean, it's a show that honestly, no one ever knew would continue on the way that it has. So it's just amazing to know that there are so many people out there who know the show and love doing it. And there's high schools doing it and colleges doing it, and it's such a, I don't know, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, it absolutely is unbelievable. Well, I do want to kind of start wrapping things up. I want to remind people out there to check out Splash and Bubbles. It's on PBS Kids. The album Splash and Bubbles, Rhythm of the Reef, songs from season 1 is available now in stores and online. Is there anything else that you're working on right now that you wanna plug?
Oh gosh, a bunch of stuff. But I'll say this: I have the great honor of being here at Henson and working on a bunch of different projects, and I think there's some really, really, really exciting stuff coming up. And I think if you're a Henson fan, this is like a really good time to be alive because there's a lot of stuff coming your way that is going to be really exciting to people. So I wish I could talk about it, but I know Nina will smack me if I do. But it's all really great stuff, and I think. It's great that we're in a time where we're able to honor Jim's legacy and what was created before, but also just that there's people continuing on in the future, and there's a lot of good stuff coming. So
great.
So yeah.
Well, we very much appreciate that you are one of those people who is carrying on this legacy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, I'm a fan. That's the thing. Nina will tell you to an annoying degree. I'm a big nerd and a big fan. So I feel like I get to, make amazing new stuff, but I also get to, sit inside of this amazing world that I grew up, admiring.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, you're one of us. We get it.
I am one of us. It's true.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us for this. This is really exciting. We will gladly have you back for a third interview whenever you'd like.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you guys for continuing on with your love for everything Henson and Muppets and making sure that, Jim's legacy stays alive. I appreciate what you guys do, too. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that we're working together on keeping the message going.
Woohoo!
Yay!